Now, tell me if you can, team, what makes a sound something like this?
Is it a bee under a sink?
Very good. I tell you what, you can hear the same thing giving off a different sound. It's for mothers and younger sons only. Let's see if you can... It's something Marco Polo heard and was astonished by. I'll play the first one again.
Catagoo-goo.
Here's the first one.
It's Marco Polo. Is it? I know what it is. It's a sand dunes, desert.
Yes! The sand dunes is absolutely right. Congratulations. Very good. Well done. Yeah. Yes, they sounded like the spirits of the desert, dead people, according to Marco Polo, like drums, foghorns, trumpets, even a twin-engine jet plane to others.
Well, how do they make that grasshoppery noise afterwards?
Well, it's once a dune gets dry at about 35 degrees, it has to be, quite precisely. There's this 36 degrees to start. You gave a little grin that just gave you away, but it was very impressive.
Yeah, it's about 35, 36 sometimes.
Yeah, 35 or 36 degrees, and the dry sand starts to fall when the wind comes from the right direction, and the sand underneath begins to oscillate quite violently, and it gives off this low-frequency sound. It can be heard up to 6 miles away, ladies and gentlemen.
Why is there so much sand there?
Because it's a desert.
But normally, sand is by the shore, isn't it? I can get that it's worn away and worn away and worn away to tiny particles. But in the desert, it's just lying around. And how much would they charge for their sand? I mean, if you wanted to sample.
I don't think they'd charge. I think they'd say, yeah, have it. You know, if you can get it home, take it.
How many grains of sand in the Sahara, do you reckon?
Do you reckon?
I lost count. It's quite a few.
Yeah.
I go up to 17, and it's definitely more than that. Apparently, there are more molecules in a glass of water than there are grains of sand in the entire world.
The Gobi toad lives under the desert, and every 7 years it waits for some rainfall, and they all come up to the surface, they mate, then they go back down again for 7 years.
Wow.
What made of that?
No.
Wow.
Sorry, no, that is very good.
Did you not know that?
Certainly have 5 points. I didn't know anything about
great.
the Gobi
That's
toad.
good. I said something Stephen didn't know.
There are more things I don't know than there are molecules in a glass of water. Well, the Americans did the same by using Wagner in their helicopters. Do they still?
They still play loud, extremely loud rock music.
I've noticed that in their bedrooms.
They play it to themselves in the tank during the Iraq War.
I mean, you just want to go and say, I tell you what, lovely army, very nice vehicles and things. Do you have any grown-ups anywhere? People get calm
of you.
And don't shout, and don't think it's clever to wear sunglasses if you're a general.
Of all the objections to warfare, it's the use of sunglasses.
They're trying to be like pattern. They think it's sexy and cool. If you think they're sexy and cool, you're just going to be a ghastly
that general who said to the troops he got it all wrong. It's like he was trying to get in with the kids. And he said, when the order's given to attack, it's hammer time. And they all looked at him. So he said it again, more serious. It's hammer time.
Well, he thought they'd put on, like, big balloony trousers.
I can't touch it.
Popular game traditionally ends with all the players being thrown into a lake of fiery sulphur.
Well, I hope it's show jumping. I hate show jumping. Oh, God. I'd have one of those after every jump.
Is there any evidence that people are a bit more bonkers when there's a full moon?
No. It's very interesting. There's been a lot of research about it, and there's been a lot of anecdotal evidence that at loony bins you have to lock them up on a full moon, but actually there's absolutely no clear evidence whatsoever that people behave oddly in a moon.
So why do I go out killing?
Nonsense. What I want you to do, you've got ropes there, is just pull them apart. So you can take one each.
Can't be done.
Go on, pull them apart.
It can't be done.
Go on. There you go. Try. You can't, can you?
Be done.
You literally can't. It's quite extraordinary. strong as Brian is,
Go on, try and pull, Brian, pull.
all it is...
Sean's alive!
How come your water wasn't spilt? That's magical.
Yes, it's an old trick. Me and Brian have been doing this trick for years.
To conclude, I say and maintain that of all the torchcool, arse-wisps, bum-fodders, tail napkins, bunghole cleansers and white breeches, there is none in the world comparable to the neck of a goose that is well downed, if you hold her head betwixt your legs. And believe me therein upon mine honour, for you will thereby feel in your knockhole a most wonderful pleasure.
Yes.
Both in regard of the softness of the said down and of the temperate heat of the goose, which is easily communicated to the bum gut and the rest of the inwards, insofar as to come even to the regions of the heart and brains.
So I love that. Why do we need swear words when you've got knockhole?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
Is it alive?
I fear it probably is.
Yes, I believe that adds a frisson
It
to
has
it.
to be alive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When he
Because
said
then
it
you
was
can
warm.
turn it and laugh in its face. Imagine now, because there's charming, there's double-layered toilet paper now, isn't there?
There is.
The Americans would probably use 2 geese's necks, wouldn't they? To get that extra softness.
People have been saying for years, why are geese so angry? What's wrong with geese? Why are they so furious?
No, we know.
If there were one animal that I was never going to put anywhere near my bum, it would be a goose.
There's so many other choices of animals you don't want near
Scorpion.
your knockhole.
No, that can be fun.
Get the scorpion to do it. Yeah. And he can get all those tricky little nibble bits.
What's another name for the common cormorant? Yes, Rory.
Sea crow.
Oh, very good. It is. That's the right answer. Any other?
The Latin name is Phylacrocorax.
What were you gonna say?
Can I just give the Latin name? The cormorant is the Phylacrocorax carbo. The shag is Phylacrocorax aristotelis. It doesn't have the white face and the...
This is brilliant. I mean, this is everything I got written down.
Tosser, mate.
Do you remember anything he said?
No, not a word. He said something about calcium. There's a tree with a funny name. I don't know. Koalas invented rice. He's a robot.
The reason the sea crow is the actual word cormorant comes from Corvus marinus, which is the Latin for sea crow.
Old swatty.
The Phylacrocorax graculus would be... It's the crested cormorant, isn't it? Yes, because the graculus is a jackdaw.
No, a jackdaw is Corvus monedula.
Yes, but it's another word. It's the actual Latin name. The actual Latin name for a jackdaw was graculus.
OK, so let's not fall out over this, Stephen.
No, it's what... No, I'm saying real Latin. No, you might be interested. Roman people actually call birds things before they want. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
There's a portal into the underworld here. It's ridiculous.
Did you have an imaginary friend when you were young?
I'm not aware of it.
No, your mother would
They
have
didn't
told
used
you.
to come around much.
Imaginary friend who doesn't play with
An
you.
imaginary friend who cut you dead.
Yeah, I wanted to be his friend.
That's so sad.
He just wasn't interested.
Although, it must be said, a certain proportion of them are malevolent. Some people have imaginary friends who scare their children, which is a very worrying thought. A nasty imaginary friend.
I hear voices.
Do you?
But I ignore them and I just carry on killing.
How upset are the Germans about the 1966 World Cup?
Well, very, I would say. Well, they would be, for surely, I would have thought, a proud nation like the Germans.
They were upset at the time, but I said, how upset are they? They barely remember it. They won. But they, in 1974, beat the Dutch, and that, to them, was the one they really, really care about.
But surely, the Dutch have never provided a great deal of opposition to them. Generally, in history, They've just walked into Holland whenever they fancied it.
Oh, in that sense.
Any time they want, they just go into Holland, which is just like spin the windmill. I haven't mentioned it yet. Come on. I was talking about the great Geschmerz-slip in 1762, where they just walked into Holland, but they can just enter. Oh, I'll mention the War of Holland. You have to. Surely they're denying their true rivalry, which will be with us.
Why?
They're in denial.
We may think that, but it's up to them to decide. I mean, you can't
force
a German to care about whether they beat us or not.
Well, they bloody well should.
Really good. It's that awful noise of trainers on the floors. Have you ever watched it on television? Squeak, squeak, squeak.
Drives me mental.
Yes, but that's right.
That's why I kill.
That's why you kill.
I've swum with dolphins as well, and it is quite an extraordinary experience. Very good.
It's terrible when they reject you. That's horrible. And all your family and all your therapists are standing on the beach. It's freezing cold. And there's loads of dolphins just pissing off back to the sea. And then you look round and you go... I suppose we just better carry on with the medication then. No, Sean.
If they rejected you, Sean...
I mean, at least we tried. Can I have a towel?
Where would you put your ladder if you wanted to get into space?
On top of the spaceship, on a rack. A red flag hanging off of it so some other spaceships don't follow you too closely.
You're saying where you put the ladder, you'd assume, I suppose, the obvious answer is you'd put it on the highest point, like Everest.
Yes, that wouldn't...
It'd be a bit bumpy, wouldn't it? You couldn't get a good foothold on it.
It's sometimes called a space ladder. It's more commonly called a space elevator. It is a genuine idea that has been worked on, and many people believe would have saved the space program an enormous amount of money in various ways, was to build a huge elevator that goes from Earth and is counterweighted at the other end and spin round incredibly fast. But it would be an equivalent of geostationary orbit at the end of it, and you would have elevators on it that would go up and down. But the important point is you would have to do it on the equator, where the Earth goes at its fastest. Because it's the bit, you know, like the end of a record goes faster than the middle, obviously.
What about a series of trampolines? They have a huge trampoline, and then up higher up is another one about half a mile up, and then another one. So it's like a staircase of trampolines going up into space, and then there's a big bouncy castle at the top. And a bloke charging you a quid, and you've got to take your shoes off. I'd tell you the best way to get into space. I would tell you, I've just realised it, and it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. I'm going to be so rich. Bubble. A bubble. Get in a bubble, just float up there.
One day.
I mean, a big bubble. I'm not talking about... Not talking about those bubbles you see in there. That's not a bubble. Stupid little one. You call that a bubble, mate? You want to come and see my bubble? No. A big bubble, you get in the bubble and off you go.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Who wants in? Me. This is like the Dragon's Den for cranky ideas. I had a strange experience when I was in Australia recently, and I went to a day out to the zoo, and they give you a koala to hold, and you have a photograph taken of it. And koalas are very lazy animals. They don't exactly work out. You know what I mean? They haven't got firm buttocks or anything. And I had one in my hand, and it kind of just slipped. And before I knew it, I actually had a sort of koala's buttocks. It was actually slipped onto my finger. And it just sort of slid on, and there's... On the photograph, because they take a photograph of you, you're supposed to hold a koala, and the koala goes this, goes... The worst thing was, they wanted it back. And I said, well, can I hold it for a bit longer? And I was trying to get the finger out. And I said, can I take it away?
The list of charges is beginning to add up, isn't it?
Bananas grow on. Yes.
Well, they're monocotyledons, and they grow up like that, and they grow on banana trees, they call them, but they're not really trees.
They're not trees. No, take it back, studio. 15 for that.
Oh,
they are a herb, distinguished by not having a woody stem, essentially, and by dying back after seeding.
They walk.
I'm sorry?
Banana plants, whatever you want to call them, walk.
Nurse! Nurse, he's out of bed again.
They do, they walk, they move. I've been to Colombia. I travelled to Colombia, and I went to a banana
Yes, well,
plantation.
if you go to you see, these things will happen.
This was I went to a banana plantation, and I said, hold on a minute, to the guy. Why? He said, that big patch to the left of the field. He said, because the plants, they walk, and they need a lot of room. So you need lots of room, because plants, they move, they walk. So they have to make the field slightly larger than you plant a strip, and then you leave a strip, because they just move across, like that.
I shall have...
You know, like Betty and Keppel in the water.
Sean, as Clive said, the banana plant is actually a herb because the stem does not contain woody tissue. And the banana fruit is technically a berry, in fact, or a juicy ovary containing seeds to you. Now, what sort... Yes. Stop it. Oh, you're giggling in the back row, miss. The intelligent voice in my ear tells me you're absolutely right, Sean. They do walk. They walk up to 40 centimetres in a lifetime.
Yes!